Salah.
Do you know what's interesting? We've got June, you've got 2 Liverpool players, but the majority of us got 3 Liverpool players. How many Man City players has everybody got? Because they're the champions, and yet I'm looking at my team, and I've only got 1 Man City player in my side. And I'll ask all of you, how many Man City players have you got?
I mean, I've got 2, but they're 2 defenders. So I probably feel like I've invested at the wrong end of the pitch because I've got Cancelo and I've got Ederson. I just can't get over not having Cancelo. I think I'd rather have him to start the season knowing that I can drop him in price down to somebody else if I want to after the first couple of game weeks. But yeah, I'm looking at that Man City attack thinking I probably should invest, but the Community Shield Roulette was out in full force, wasn't it? You know, we saw him kind of completely change the way that they attacked, particularly with those midfielders. And it made me because I had Grealish. This time last week, Jules and I, we both had Grealish in our team. I watched the Community Shield and swiftly swapped him out for Leon Bailey at Aston Villa. So I don't know, Jules, did you keep Grealish after the Community Shield?
No, I didn't. I went for Riyad Mahrez because he's my boy and he's not going to be happy if he's not in the team. And I said I'd give him a shout on the show. So I have to have Riyad for now. And if he doesn't deliver, as I said to him, then he's out, of course, because I'm that brutal, you know. I'm really that ruthless, even with friends. So no, he has to be Riyad. But I agree with you on Grealish. Watching the Community Shield, I still feel that it could be a good season for him.
Yeah.
But I was a bit like, there's still some old habits that I saw from last season that I didn't really like. So it's Mahrez for now and Cancelo. That number 7, I need to get used to it and then I can bring him back in the team. But right now, and also he was rubbish in the Community Shield. So I had my doubts on Cancelo after that game. So I changed it all again.
The thing with City is there's such a rotation risk. You're just never sure who's going to start each game. The one that's catching my attention at the moment as an alternative actually to Cancelo is Kyle Walker. Because they've sold Zinchenko, I think he's nailed on to start the season. And his price at 5 million looks an absolute bargain. So Kyle Walker's the one at the moment that I'm looking at and thinking I might squeeze into my side.
I suppose the good thing with Manchester City is they have West Ham in game week 1. So if you don't want to invest defensively, you have got a game to kind of see who's playing, see how they settle into the season and then invest in them for game week 2. I mean, Kyle Walker for me, if they don't sign anybody else, is a perfect pick in place of Cancelo. Now, you're not going to get the same level of attacking returns potential as you do with Cancelo from Walker. But for 2 million less, you can spend that 2 million buying yourself a better attacking player for your midfield or your forward line. So it does make a big difference to be able to have that as an option. But I do worry that City might sign somebody else in that position and then we might be back on rotation again.
So Sam, just confirming, who are your 2 City players at the moment?
At the minute, I've got Ederson and Cancelo, so I'm going the defensive double up.
Yeah, on the opening podcast, I also said I had Ederson. I've taken him out because I feel like it's using up a City spot. And then I might want another player. I might want 2 attackers, 1 defender. That was what concerned me. What's making you go towards Ederson at the moment?
And that's exactly how I feel about Alisson, which is why I haven't got him in my team, because I do think that I will want to use those 3 Liverpool slots better across the rest of the season with moving between the different attackers as I want to treble up. But with Manchester City, I very rarely want to treble up simply because I don't really know who Pep is going to play at any given moment. But I do know that with Ederson, he is going to play every week. He is always up there in terms of the highest scoring points returning goalkeepers. And I don't necessarily see that I'm going to want 3 Manchester City attackers at any point during the course of the season because, you know, yes, you've got the likes of Grealish and Mahrez and KDB, and of course you've got Haaland, but they're surely going to move in and out of the team depending upon which fixture it is, the impact of the Champions League, the impact of the World Cup, all of that stuff that's going to come during the course of this season. We'll see Pep moving players in and out of the team and withdrawing them on 60 minutes, 70 minutes. So for me, I'd rather have the certainty of knowing that my Manchester City players are going to play, and therefore Ederson fits that category nicely. But I wouldn't do it with Alisson, for example, at Liverpool, because I think those Liverpool spots are more valuable elsewhere.
Yeah, that's my thought. That's the reason I've actually come off both of those players, because I'm not sure. It feels like there's so much uncertainty with both of those teams at the moment as to who to pick. Now, Matt, we've got to talk about Haaland because Jules and Sam are very much aboard the Harry Kane train. You said you're going for Haaland. Yeah, Sam's the blooming captain. Is that what you call someone that drives a train? I think it is. Captain? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why have you gone for Haaland? He's the 4th most heavily owned player in the game, which shows you're not the only one. But as we said before, no one really knows whether to go for him or Harry Kane.
I'm hoping Haaland is going to surpass the train and be a jumbo jet at the start of the season. That's what That's what I'm hoping. His goal record for Dortmund was absolutely ridiculous. And I know he had some good chances in the Community Shield and didn't take them, but he got those good chances. And he's almost guaranteed goals. I think he'll probably be the top scorer this season. I really do. Harry Kane, for me, has always been a notoriously slow starter to the season. We've seen that in the past. He had that.
Not this year, Matt. Not this year.
Well, maybe not this year, but last year, of course, he had the, am I going to City? Am I not going to City? It didn't happen. He had a slow start. And I just think that I can always bring Harry Kane into the side later in the season. I did that last year, actually. But for now, I'm quite happy to go on the Haaland train, jumbo jet, the Haaland jumbo jet, rather than the Kane train.
Watching the Community Shield very quickly, Jules, how did you feel? I know the headline was that he missed all those opportunities, but the other headline you can put on the other flip side of that was he got in some brilliant positions to get those opportunities. His movement, his presence, it certainly gives City a complete other element, doesn't it?
Yeah, and he will get better and better the more he settles in that team anyway, because there's a couple of moments where he made a good run and the ball didn't come to him, or the cross was squared instead of in the space where he attacked the space, for example, because that's what City do. I couldn't care less about the chances that he missed, because everybody misses chances anyway, Messi and Ronaldo and even the greatest. What I think was even more fascinating was that we kept saying, but it's still early. He needs to adapt a bit more. So he got all those chances and could easily have scored 2, maybe even 3 at a time where he's not even adapted to the team. Imagine what he's going to be when he's adapted to the team. He will be able to score 5 or 6 every game. So I just think it's crazy. I'm not worried at all about the lack of efficiency that he had in that game. Maybe he even tried a bit too hard because he knew everybody was watching him. And I think he could easily score at the weekend. And then once he scored once, then I think they're going to flow. But because of my allegiance to H, of course, I have to go with Kane, more than the other H, Haaland. But I'm a bit worried that Haaland scores a lot of points this season and I don't have him in the team.
Do you know that after the Community Shield, Haaland dropped by 3% ownership? And I thought that was really interesting because he played actually well. He got in good positions. He had an XG of 1.59, so he should have scored in that game. I felt like there was plenty of opportunity, like George just said. In the future, when he's really bedded into that Manchester City team, they know where he's going to be and the kind of runs he's going to make, and he knows the kind of balls they're going to put in and where they're going to land. He will become a fantastic asset. I have no doubt about that. But it did make me laugh at the way that we are moving mad at the moment, aren't we, with our FPL teams? So he has one performance where he plays well but doesn't score, and 3% of the game go, no, thank you, I'm moving on. And I guess that's something that we're going to have to get used to in the early part of the season, because people will move between the premiums. They're so expensive, you can't have them all. And as people perform or don't perform, I suspect we'll see a lot of FPL managers switching between Kane and Haaland, switching between KDB and Son, and moving around those positions a little bit more regularly.
Let's move on to some of the big talking points then, because that is probably the biggest talking point at the moment, Kane versus Haaland. We've got 2 on the podcast saying Kane, we've got Matt Holland saying Haaland, and you've got me who is changing them day by day. And you also talk there actually about the changing ownership of Haaland after that. I had Grealish. He's been in he was one of my first picks, just because I liked the price point at the beginning of the season. I decided I was going to go with Kane over Haaland. I felt I had City attacking cover. After that Community Shield, I stuck with Grealish. I was like, no, I'm not gonna have regret. And then I saw how many people were getting rid of him from their teams, and I got complete fear, and I've got rid of him. So I've already followed a train. We're not even on game week 1, and I've completely followed.
Back yourself, Kelly. Back yourself. Be patient.
Yeah, believe in yourself.
It's not about just believing in me, though, is it? It's about believing in Jack Grealish as well. Kane versus Haaland. So we've settled that debate by not settling it at all, really.